As a brand new artist, no, you do not need better gigs. Now, let's get to work on unpacking that. We split live into two things. We split live into gigs and shows. The reason we do that is because many artists jump too quickly into thinking they need better shows, big support shows, big headline tours, support tours, big TV appearances. No, early on. No, you don't. You don't. What you need to do is gig. Now I want to talk about what a gig is in context of our split here. A gig is an internalized thing. It's important to get out and perform, of course it is, but early on it's not important to get out and perform to build a fan base. That doesn't work in isolation. It doesn't. You need to gig so that you can become as amazing a performer as you possibly can, so that when you are ready for shows, which we'll talk about in a minute, you will be incredible. You can't just be a good performer. You have to raise the bar. At a show, you need to be an incredible performer, a phenomenal performer, an unforgettable and undeniable, brilliant performer. But how do you get there? Rehearsing is important, of course it is, but that's more about getting your technique down and the dynamic between your band if you're performing as a band. It's not about performance, that's different. There's no one there to give kind of human feedback. Gigs, that's different. And a gig is brilliant even if you've got 3 people watching you, because it's about you working out, is my presentation right here? Is my chat with the audience on brand, if you will, or does it feel comfortable? Are you funny? Are you quite dark? Are you serious? Are you light-hearted? Are you slightly arrogant? Only performance. Are you kind of humble and a bit kind of, self-deprecating, but in a humorous way? You need to work this out. You need to work out your performance chops. You also need to consider, does your set list work live? You might think you've got a banging set list because when you hear them recorded, the recorded music is brilliant. You get feedback from people. Maybe you've got some activity already on a couple of releases and it's really going well. They're banging. They're brilliant recorded songs. You go and play them live and they fall flat. That's happened many, many times in our experience. So you need to think about being able to have some feedback loop as to, is this set list right? Have I pitched this right? Have I got the order of the songs right? Am I leaving the crowd kind of flat because I've picked a sad song to end it with? Have you peaked too early in your set? Have you kind of hit all the good stuff early and then the other stuff's just a bit fillery? And if that's the case, you've not thought about the experience, the journey of the person in the audience. And that's really important because when it comes to doing live shows, you're there to entertain, but not to diminish your art. That's not about, I'm not saying that at all, but you are there to deliver, at least from the context of the audience, a one-time only experience that they've never had before and will never have again. Even if they come and see you 15 different shows, it won't be the same. So you've got to be able to make sure that you've thought through and that you've practiced, which is the gigging, and that you've been self-reflected and self-aware enough to adjust your performance skills, build competence that leads to confidence, so that the show comes along and you absolutely smash it. You absolutely deliver the performance every single time, the performance of a lifetime, to really connect with and move and impress that audience. So gigs are about developing your performance chops, your performance skills, your competence and your confidence. That's what gigging does. And you do not need better gigs, you don't, to do that. Do the open mics, do the toilet circuit. I'm so sorry, that is a terminology, maybe it's just the UK, forgive me our international audience. The toilet circuit is stuff like bars and pubs that don't necessarily host bigger artists on tours and stuff like that. So make sure you get involved in that. I only say that because if you ever hear that term, that's what it is. And really get going with developing your performance skills, your performance ability, your show. Effectively, you're developing your ability to deliver a show. That's what you're doing. That's gigs. Now, shows are things like your first headline show, your first headline tour, a support show for a more established act, a support tour for a more established act, national radio performances, TV performances, and festivals, that sort of thing. They're shows. They are incredibly high value propositions. So you have to be absolutely brilliant when you perform at shows. If you take a support show, you're supporting a more established artist. Perhaps there's 1,000 people in the audience. Now, they're not there for you. The vast majority of those people are not there for you. So it is an incredible effort required and an incredible level of performance for you to turn their heads from their friends or the bar or whatever they may be doing and focus on you, but not just watch you, focus on you. They've got to want to know your name. They've got to want to know the name of that track or those two songs they absolutely loved. They've got to want to go and find you on socials. They've got to want to go and sign up to your mailing list and buy your merch. They've got to want to go and buy your ticket for the headline show. That requires effort, people. It really does. It's not instantaneous. And also, just a quick one, like concentrate on the kind of the triangle from front of stage tapered back to the back of the audience. That is who you're focusing on. If you can capture the people outside and the fringes, brilliant, but focus on them because they tend to be the types of people that engage with music in a more focused way. They want to get to the front. That's quite a strong indicator of how much importance they put on the music of the headline act, therefore music in general normally, and then tapered back tends to be they're going to be more likely to focus on you. Capture them though. You've got to be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Use all that gigging. Do loads of those gigs so you get as amazing as possible so that when you do a show, you will wow people. You'll be unforgettable. And that's the way to think about developing towards shows. Now, shows definitely do help building a fan base. They do. Help building a community and a fan base. Absolutely they do. It's that triangle again. Capture some of them. Make sure you can kind of capitalize on the show outside of that. If you don't do shows too early. If you haven't got 3 or 4 songs released, don't do a big show too early because someone who might have loved you at that show will go and check you out online, try and listen to your music. If it's one song, there's no way on earth you can replicate, at least musically, the experience they had watching you. So make sure you've strategically thought about when is the right time to do shows. You must be able to capture that person online as well as in person. So a quick note on that. Gigs aren't for fan base building. Gigs, as we said, gigs aren't for fans. You might get a few people come and say, I love your stuff. Collect their mail, collect their email address. Build your mailing list that way. Mailing lists are very, very effective. We'll have another video on that. More so than social media in terms of direct communication. But gigs aren't about fan base building. Shows are. Absolutely. Absolutely. They really are. They're about delivering a service to your fans, your community, because they want to pay for a ticket to come and see you. But anyone new there, absolutely. That's where you're really converting face to face for them to transition into a fan. Very important. Festivals, let's take festivals quickly. They need to be more valued than I think they are by many artists. Festivals tend to spend more money on marketing and promoting their event than any other promoter or any other specific event, generally. So if you haven't been able to get a good stage time, if you haven't been able to get good presence on the poster, the artwork, then you've kind of missed out on a big part of that promotional cycle. And you need to think about, if you do a festival too early and you get on a stage at a really small stage at a really poor time, no one comes to watch you, what's the point? The only reason you've done it, and you might have got on the artwork, so that's a tiny reason. But then when you're actually at the festival, who are you playing to? No one. So it's actually just an ego-driven thing, really. It ends up being because you wanted to play a festival and not because it was strategically right to do so. Strategically right. Really bang that in your head. So right festival, right stage, right time, totally different story. Can really, really accelerate the connection with a bigger audience. So they are important to do at the right. Obviously, they're important to do, but they're important to do at the right time. Truly, the right time. I can't tell you how many times when we're building artists and we work with booking agents, promoters, we have really open and frank conversations. As look, it's not right this year. Let's build it more, and we'll try and leverage it for next year. Seems a long time, goes very quickly. So think about the strategic timing of festivals. Obviously, a similar sort of thing with the headline tour when you're big enough and you've got demonstrable activity and engagement in different towns around your country, cities around your country. Plot out a tour, absolutely. The support tours are fantastic for helping to build outside of your hometown or the main focal town or city that you are. They're brilliant. But again, it's the same with the support show. It's all about timing, strategic timing. So don't rush into it. Gigs to become brilliant, shows to be brilliant at and expand your community, and online. So when they've left the show, make sure you are ready to capture them. I hope you found that useful. So definitely get gigging, but gig for the right reasons. Wait to do the most appropriate shows for strategic reasoning and go build your community. Any questions? Comment below or send us an email. It's hello@theartistguides.net. We are www.theartistguides.net if you want to check out more of what we do. Love to hear from you. Take care. Bye bye.